What's going on? So, we need to talk about Harlequin talents and new Tesla, because they revamped all of Tesla's talents. I don't want to say it's a completely new unit, but they've kept like the base version of what a Tesla is, and changing all the talents changes like everything about Tesla. So let's get into this. For the too long, didn't watch people, everybody who just wants to know my quick thoughts, I think that Harlequin is incredibly underwhelming for what it is. It is a legendary support unit, and other legendary support units include things like Scrapper, like Dryad, like Night Statue, and these are all like very definitively cemented into the meta, and I thought that Harlequin was going to boost Dryad, and that's why they nerfed Dryad. And you know, Dryad doesn't work with Scrapper, and Dryad doesn't even do 50% anymore. Now it does 30%. I thought that when they came out with Harlequin talents, Harlequin was going to be so good that they would have to nerf Dryad, or else the obvious combo of Harlequin Dryad would be so good that it would be too good, and they would have to nerf something again. And they're not going to nerf any of this. It's very underwhelming, and I think that the Tesla talents are really good. I think that Tesla could become a meta deck, at high level play, if you have a max Tesla, and, it's another event unit, and I think now it feels like an event unit, as opposed to what it felt like before. It was kind of like the weaker of the event units, and I think that they're moving towards like making all of the event units overpowered, and I think that Tesla is now going to be slotted into that. I think it's going to be a very fun card at higher levels. But those are my quick thoughts, and here we go. Let's go into Harlequin talents. So like everything that they keep putting into the game, everything now has to have a stack count. The Harlequin stacks will go up and then disappear, and then go up and then disappear, and then go up and disappear. So that is my first problem with Harlequin. There are no continuous stacks. Everything else gets like a continuous effect. Like Summoner has the Summoner stacks. Even with Scrapper, it's an easy activation. Just eating something for the Recycler to activate is easy. You just have to summon something in and then eat it, and then you get an immediate effect. With Harlequin, they're trying to make you use Harlequins in order to get stacks, but the benefit that you're getting is not that great. And so there are two versions of this. Stage Objective and then Changeling's Trick. Stage Objective is every time you copy something, you get a playing card. And if a specified amount of cards is accumulated by the end of a wave, you get a 5% bonus damage to all units. And then the amount of mana received is the amount of mana. This is another horrific wording. They're probably going to change this as soon as it comes out. But then it says you get a 5% damage bonus to all of your units, and then you get some amount of mana that is all going to you're going to get all of these the next wave. So you're not even getting it this wave. You're getting it for the next wave. So essentially, what this is. At the beginning of each round, there will be a number where Harlequin would normally obtain stacks in the mana power up, and there will be a number. Let's say it's 5. If you are to copy 5 things with Harlequins, you will then get an effect next round. And I don't know if that number changes, because Momo Royale used this a couple of times, never actively tried to complete this, and so I don't know if it changes all the time, or if it's always 5, or if it increases every time you do it, or if it's, sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. I don't know how the goal works, but you will have a stack count where the mana power up would be. And if you achieve that number, if you copy 5 things with Harlequins, if the number is 5, next round, you get mana and all of your things get 5%, a 5% damage bonus. 5% is awful. And there's no way to increase this. That's it. And then you next round, you are a little bit stronger. It is something that is achievable. You can use the masterful performance, that you can see in the next column, or in the next row. But like, I don't feel like it's good. You're trying so hard. You have to get 5 Harlequins, which is summoning in units and hoping that they are Harlequins. And then, you have to keep Harlequining for a 5% bonus. It's not great. And I don't think Changeling's Trick is that much better, but I do like it more than Sage Objective. So I think that's the one that most people will be using. Every time you copy the Harlequin, you get a playing card. Copies created by the Harlequin revert to the Harlequin form after 40 seconds. Let's talk about that really quick. So when you copy something with Harlequin, in 40 seconds, there will be like a little timer. So it gets the debuff. This is not removable. So unless you upgrade the unit or merge out the unit, obviously, there will be a timer on the unit. You can't just Portal Keeper it away. You can't Mermaid Cleanse it away. There is a timer on that unit. And if that timer, which is 40 seconds, if it expires, it reverts back to being a Harlequin, and then you can then copy something else and then get that effect. I feel like this would be really useful in Genie. I think that's how Genie works. If that's not how Genie works, I don't know what the usage of this is. For you to wait 40 seconds for it to revert back to its original thing. And then after receiving 5 cards, Harlequin will exchange them for 100 mana. So every time you copy something, you get a card. And when you copy 5 things, you get 100 mana. I don't think 100 mana is going to drastically change your game or anything. But technically, if you do have 5 Harlequins on your field, and you're not doing anything with them, you can copy 5 things, and then in 40 seconds, all of that will revert, and you get 100 mana. Yay! And then you can keep doing it over and over. I'm telling you, like, all of these talents sound ridiculous. They sound, like, very, very underwhelming. And if that sounds underwhelming, that's exactly how I feel about this. I don't necessarily care about either of these talents. The level 11 Art of Imitation talent is pretty good. I think that's one of the major reasons to use this. If there are no units with the Harlequin's weakening, so if you've copied something, whenever you copy something, it has a weakened effect. If you can cleanse that. But if there are no weakened units on your field, or if there are or if there is more than 4 of them on the field, all units receive a 10% bonus to critical damage. I think this is incredibly easy to activate, because all you need to do is just not have a Harlequin on the field or a weakened unit. That was the result of you copying a Harlequin. And then just as a flat bonus, just for having Harlequin in your deck, you get a 10% bonus. You can literally just, like, every single time you get a Harlequin, you could just eat it with a scrapper. And for the rest of the game, you get a 10% bonus to crit damage. I think that's fine. I think there are better usage. If this is the only reason why you're using Harlequin for a 10% damage bonus, I think there are better things to use. I think Sharpshooter is better to use. I think Chemist is better to use as a support card. I don't think you're just going to put this into your deck just so that you can get a 10% crit damage. I don't think that's worth it enough. Masterful Performance. If you love those first 2 talents, with a 10% chance when receiving a card, the Harlequin will give 1 more card. So if you remember Stage Objective and Changeling's tricks, if you loved those talents, with a 10% chance, let me remind you, the chance for a rogue to be a shinobi is a 15% chance, but with a 10% chance, when receiving a card, you might get 2 cards. And so you can either get 100 mana, or for the next round, you can get 5% extra damage. None of these are great. I don't like any of these talents. Jester's Smack. When a boss or mini-boss appears, they get hit for 5% of their maximum health. 5%. It's something. It's something better than nothing. But it doesn't feel like a lot. You'd still have to do 95% damage for this to insta-kill something. It's not... Jack in the Box, I was really excited for Jack in the Box, based on one simple line of text, until I saw Momo Royale play it, and it's the lowering the monster's armor by 5%, blocking them from using monster abilities for 1.5 seconds. That means you can use it on bosses, and you can stun a boss for 1.5 seconds, which is just enough for you to kill the boss before the effect happens, namely a tribunal. The problem, as Momo Royale used it in his game, and if you understand that I keep saying Momo Royale is a YouTuber. If you don't already know, this is how I'm getting all of this information. Go subscribe to him and get all of this information as soon as it drops, because Rush Royale Official hasn't even given out any of this information, and he already has a dev build, and he's the most active person who actively just immediately uploads as soon as he possibly can the dev build, and then he does games. So I'm obviously not going to do any gameplay here, so this is just me talking about all of these units. I'd rather talk about units than talk about gameplay. But when I did notice that when he used Jack in the Box, which is an incredibly difficult thing to achieve just to begin with, but I'll skip ahead to the punchline. When he used Jack in the Box, I thought that if you used it like during a wave and the wave was halfway through the field and you decided to use Jack in the Box, it would appear right above it, right? But if you used it at the beginning of a boss round when there is nothing, it would appear at the beginning of the gate where the boss is, right? So that you could use this to negate the boss ability for 1.5 seconds. What ended up happening was he used it at the beginning of a boss wave and it appeared at the middle of the field, at the middle of the line. So he could potentially, it was during a Bedlam round. The Bedlam had the ability to activate. The Bedlam was nowhere near the Jack in the Box, and then he killed the Bedlam, and then the Jack in the Box didn't do anything because it was in the middle of the field. And unless they change that to it appears right in front of the pack, or if you use it during a boss wave, it appears right in front of the gate. Unless they change that, this isn't good either. And the way to even get the Jack in the Box, it's when a unit is merged while being weakened by the Harley Quinn. So you have to copy a unit with your Harley Quinn, then merge out that unit with a current unit that you already have, presumably, unless you had 2 Harley Quinns, at which point you would copy 2 things, merge them both together, get 1 activation of Jack in the Box, and then you lower the monster's armor by 5%, which is, again, nothing to write home about. I'd rather use anything else in this slot. You don't have a lot of support slots, and there are so many good supports. Witch is a support. Like, Trapper is a support card. That's doing like 75+% of armor destruction. You're getting 5% for it, that the 75+% is an all the time thing. You're getting 5% armor destruction with an activation cost. It's insanity. It's insane how not great this is. This is how I felt about Night Statue, and I ate all my words on that one. But this is exactly how I felt about Night Statue, like when it first came out. And maybe like we play this and it's good, but I'm telling you right now, on paper, this sounds awful. I don't like any of this. Like the max talent, you can now copy a unit of its own rank or lower. When copying its rank lower, it lowers to that of the unit being copied, right? So this is the only useful thing about this, and this is only if you randomly merge into like some awkward high level Harlequin, right? So you're merging 2 level 5 robots, you get a level 6 Harlequin, and you have no other level 6 things on your field. You can now copy a level 5 robot and then keep going, and you'll never have bad merges is what's happening. Now that the dark faction boost is happening right now, and dark factions keep leveling up, I got into a situation where I could not merge down my Harlequin, and it just became a level 7, and I couldn't do anything with it, and I just had to level up everything else and hope that I could get a level 7 something else. Now you can literally use that level 7, copy a level 1, and then it'll become a level 1. And I mean, I don't know why you would do that. That's a horrible use for this, but you could. But that is at max. That's assuming that you have a max Harlequin. I don't like any of these talents. I don't think these numbers are not even just anything to write home about. These numbers are awful. 5% bonus damage to attack is terrible. The Jack in the Box of a 5% armor destruction is pretty awful. 100 mana from Changeling's tricks is nothing to write home about. The art of imitation is probably the best thing, but again, like I said, you're not gonna run Harlequin just so that you can have a 10% bonus to damage, bonus to your crit damage. I don't think that that's why you're not just gonna run this so that you can get a 10% bonus to crit damage. I would rather literally run anything else. In Momo Real's video, he used Harlequin with Scrapper, and that's how good Scrapper is. Like, Scrapper is just so obviously better than Dryad right now that even with the ability to use a Harlequin Dryad combo, it's probably better to just run Scrapper and then 2 other support units. Some mix of Trapper, Chemist, Witch, Banshee, Sharpshooter, just any of those. Because there are so many bonuses to other support units that do so much more, like a Witch giving your units damage, Sharpshooter doing armor destruction, Chemist doing armor destruction, Trapper doing armor destruction, Banshee, a max Banshee doing both area of effect damage and negating boss effects. Because there are so many things that do so much more, that plus so much more, these Harlequin talents on a legendary, this feels like the talents for Mime. Like or Clown. These feel like Clown talents. Like I feel like these numbers specifically these numbers feel like they should have been the talent for Clown. Because that would make sense to me. Like if you told me that these were the Clown talents, I would believe that. I'd be like, yeah, that sounds about right. They're not great. They're fine. Like they give you something. That's a reason for, new players to have fun with a Clown, right? Because they don't have Harlequin, right? If you told me that these were Clown talents, I would believe you. because I feel like Harlequin should have had a stackable talent. And all of these talents are all basically activations. Do this, and then that effect goes away. You get this effect for a little bit, and then it goes away. Do it again, and then it goes away. Like, imagine if you only got summoner stacks if you merged summoners. You do, but those are also stacks, and they accumulate over the course of the game. And it gets better and better and better. And then when you get a specific number, it happens to all of your summon-ins. You have to keep activating this every single time. And that's my problem with it. And my second problem with this, they didn't change the mana ability. It still has a upgrade mana ability, like a damage boost. But if you've noticed, none of these talents boost damage to, you can't do a DPS Harlequin deck. And so why they didn't give it a mana ability is also beyond me. It still just upgrades its damage. And so with all of that said, I don't know how this is a legendary unit with talents. And that's my thoughts on that. Tesla is much more interesting to talk about. There are now two ways to run Tesla. Electro Chain is basically Tesla / Engineer. You now have a chain of Teslas that become more powerful, or you can run the classic version of Tesla with the Professor. So with the Electro Chain, the damage of Tesla located in the chain increases by 1.7% per fusion rank in proportion. They use in proportion a lot. I don't know what those numbers are, what in proportion means, to the number of Teslas in the chain. The maximum bonus is achieved with 8 Teslas in the chain. So essentially, it's an engineer. Connect 8 Teslas together, and they become more powerful. That's essentially all that is. I think that the better version is the Professor, and this allows you to have a Professor literally anywhere on the field as long as it is on the field, and all of your Teslas get a bonus damage that is stackable. If there is no Professor on the field, it will appear when 2 Teslas merge. So you can merge 2 Teslas, kind of like a Crystalmancer, and that will become a Professor on the field. You can, put it well out of, your range, like somewhere all the way across the board, so that it doesn't bother you, so that because you're running Night Statue with this, you're setting up your Teslas, you're, trying to maneuver all of your pieces around. You can leave your Professor somewhere in a corner, and it can just sit there and give the rest of your Teslas bonus damage. It doesn't attack, but it increases the damage of all Teslas on the field by 0.25 for its charge, and then 0.1% after 50 charges. Proportionally, again, that word again, proportionally to its merge rank. So there is benefit for merge ranking it up, even though it doesn't attack. Your your bonus damage increases as it increases. He doesn't have a charge limit, gets a charge when any Tesla is fully charged. When destroyed, so this is important. When destroyed, Professor's charges are saved and sent to him when he reappears. So even if your Professor gets warlocked or murdered, when you get 2 Teslas again, you can then merge them and it'll have all of the stack counters again. So it's kind of like having a stack counter on Tesla, without it being it is now a unit that you need to keep having on the field, as opposed to you just getting it where the number is like a Blooming Dash, right? Blooming Dash, you don't have to have a thing on the field. Whenever you do the thing, you just get where your mana power up is. There's just a counter right there. Instead of having that, you have to go through this extra step of having a Professor on the field. And if you do lose it, you will lose all those damage stacks, technically, until you get a new Professor onto the field. So if it does get warlocked like mid-boss, and then you have a second boss and then a third boss, presumably, you will not have that bonus, and you will then have to get another professor on the field. It essentially gets a charge every time a Tesla gets a charge. And that, I'm not entirely sure if it gets a charge if a Tesla at max charge gets another charge. If it's overcharged, like if you have, Teslas now go to 8, if you have the megawatt ability, the level 15 ability. I'm not sure if it gets charges above that, because if it doesn't, that means you have to build a large quantity of Teslas for it to keep getting charges. And so that's, I'm a little bit iffy on that. And if so, like, you could just, even if when you summon in a Tesla, if you just merge next to that Tesla and it gets a charge, even if you were to eat it, that would still give your professor another charge. So that still works anyway. But I am saying that I feel like there is kind of a limit. Or it feels like there's kind of a limit. Like, if you build 4, if you just want to build 4 Teslas on a Knight statue, and just use 4 Teslas for the whole game, which is what most Tesla players did before this. Each Tesla has the ability to get 8. 8 times 4 is 32. It has the potential to get 32 stacks. I mean, assuming that it doesn't get merged, none of your units get merged down, because then if they get merged down and you have to merge it back up, you can technically add another stack to that. But it does kind of feel like how Knight Statue felt with the same mechanic. Knight Statue's Covenant of Veteran original mechanic felt the same way. Like that, the potential for stacks on a Covenant of Veteran was 32. Because you would have 4 things around it. Knight Statue gets a charge every time a unit levels up. Technically that's 32. But obviously, we now know that you can manipulate that with a Scrapper. You can not have a unit right there, upgrade a Scrapper next to a Knight Statue, and then downgrade it, and then upgrade it, and then you can get infinite stacks on a Knight Statue. I feel like getting more stacks on a Tesla is a lot more difficult, but I think that it's probably worth it because they are stacks that you can feasibly attain, while also stacking your Knight Statue, while also stacking your growth tile. The amount of redundancy in this, and being able to stack infinitely is insane. I think that this deck is going to be very strong. Electrolyte is the cleanse ability. They've changed it a little bit. Upon receiving a charge, a Tesla with a chance of 30% can receive another charge and clear a negative effect of a random Tesla on the table. I don't like it. I think that if you just use Mermaid, I think that if you're going to run Tesla, I think I would just run Mermaid, so that I could use supercharging. Charges over the limit with a chance of 20% are sent to a random uncharged Tesla. Sometimes it's difficult to get a charge on a different Tesla. And I like the idea that when you have an overcharged Tesla, you have the chance to just throw a charge over there to something that needs it. I do like that a little bit more than the cleanse ability. I'd rather just use Mermaid as a cleanse. High voltage and lightning strike. I don't like high voltage. Not anymore, or not as much as lightning strike. Each charged Tesla increases the damage of all Teslas by 2.5%. I think that this is a thing that you're using if you're using Electro Chain, because you have so many more Teslas. But I think that the better way to go is having less Teslas on 2 Knight Statues with the Professor. And so with that being said, I do like Lightning Strike. It attacks with a chance of 2.3% for each rank, can cause a Lightning Strike causing 100% additional damage. 2.3% for each rank times 7. It's, what is that, 14 like it might be like, what is that, 14, 15%, something to that effect. I think that is a reasonable amount to do 100% more damage, or to do 100% of what damage you're doing already, as extra bonus damage. I think that is going to stack very well. I think that 14 or 15%, is a very high percentage. I think that if you look at Blade Dancer and you look at the percent chance that it has the ability to do the 15 talent, and you notice how often you're getting that ability, I think with a 15% chance to get to do 100% damage, to do an extra 100% damage for all of your Teslas, I think that's very strong. And then Megawatt, Teslas of seven merge rank, may have an additional charge. Tesla's damage with 8 charges. So even when you get it to 7, you can technically get it to 8. Teslas with an 8 charge, the damage increases by 13% and the chance of crit damage by 2%. So your crit chance it also increases 2%, which is going to be huge. The crit chance mixed with Night Statue, it's going to be insane. I think that Tesla is going to be very strong, especially with the buff that they already did to its damage. I think that Tesla's going to become meta. I think I do think that this is going to become a very big deck. I think that whereas like Spirit Master never sounded good on paper because it doesn't technically obtain stacks, this does. It sounds very good on paper. Tesla is an event unit, and I feel like they are trying to make event units the best units, and this sounds like it's going to be in that conversation. I think we are definitely going to see a lot of Tesla decks after this. I don't know if it's going to push all the way into like being a top 3 deck, or top. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like top 5. If it doesn't push into top 3, and kick something out, I think it's going to be top 5. Top 3 being Riding Hood Genie and a Spirit Master. If it doesn't push into top 3, it'll be a top 5 deck. That's my prediction. But yeah, go check out Momo Rail's videos if you want all of the gameplay for all of this. And I am definitely going to start upgrading my Tesla, which is what I have been trying to do for quite some time now. And this makes me really excited to upgrade Tesla. And it makes me really excited to not upgrade Harley Quinn. Watch Harley Quinn be like the best thing. That happened to me during Night Statue. So I guess we'll